Hello and welcome everyone to the January 30th episode of This Week in Kirkland, the official podcast of the city of Kirkland, bringing you timely topics and noteworthy news delivered to you every single week. I'm your host, Jim Lopez, one of two deputy city managers here at the city, joined as always by two members of our podcast team.
Kate Ryan.
And David Walbrecht.
And we are thrilled.
Beyond thrilled.
To have a very special guest with us this week. Aaron Goldsmith, Sportscaster of the Seattle Mariners. Welcome, Aaron.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Great to be with you.
Oh, we're very
Aaron.
excited.
This live orchestra you have is amazing.
Well, thanks. Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Parks
spare-
department.
Yeah.
spare
I had no idea you were capable of this.
Yeah, I know, right?
We spare no expense on our show.
Yes.
And we're going to talk a lot of fun things today.
So
Like
many.
the Mariners, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also going to explore the experiences of what may be our most famous recreational basketball coach.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen anybody
Yeah.
else competing on another sideline.
Right.
All right,
Okay, all
we'll
right.
see.
Fair enough.
Apparently there's a lot of Kraken players living there.
Okay.
So
It could-
we'll see.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Right.
Because you're coaching right now, is that right?
I am. Two teams.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I know.
2
Let's go.
teams.
Let's get it.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kate, I think now's the time for folks who want to volunteer to sign up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's Pee Wee Soccer is actually coming up.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to get
Next
your kids
season.
involved and get involved yourself, that's how to
If
do
you
that.
are interested in just standing in the rain for
Yeah.
hours on end,
Yeah.
every weekend for as long as you can see into the future.
That's right.
Well, we'll maybe wordsmith the.
We're going to work on that.
No, but this is the charm of Pee Wee Soccer.
It is.
This is
Mm-hmm.
what people
It's true.
remember the most.
It's
I
That's
have
right,
to say,
that's right.
I was the most fun when my kids were growing up. The most fun thing I did was coach them in
Yeah.
sports. Soccer and basketball were our sports.
My dad coached me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In soccer. Yeah.
But I came in with a full system, man. Are
Oh,
you
boy.
running like zone traps?
Hey, in our 6 production meetings for this podcast, I'm well aware of your coaching prowess.
I have been.
Yeah,
You've mentioned it.
I've been kind of bragging
they're
about
still
myself.
talking about you, over at the Boys and Girls Club. It's the trophy.
the Lopez
Yes.
method.
You know-
yeah.
You know, when the league said they wouldn't allow a zone defense
for second
for
graders.
second graders, I called and complained.
Oh, I'm sure.
They
Well,
don't,
when my girls come down the court, all right, we still yell out Lopez, Lopez, and that's how we know. That's how we know what set we're going to be in.
we're going to get into all that with Aaron Goldsmith,
Yes.
including some of the great moments in Mariner baseball.
Well,
Modern, recent Mariner
Yes,
baseball.
indeed.
We talked about the 1995 team on a previous show. But anyway, before we get into all of that, here's what's going on this week in our amazing city. Do you want to take your business to the next level?
Sure.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
this opportunity might be for you.
Oh, pray tell.
Well, the Business Workshops and Pitch Competition is back for its second year. We have a series of 5 workshops running from late February to late March, and then it all culminates to the pitch competition on April 9th. The community is welcome to come out and listen to businesses pitch their ideas.
There's
It's
a
wonderful.
lot of pressure on that.
Well, it's real money, I think.
Yeah,
$5,000
that's right.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. 3.
I can
Three
come up with an
winners.
idea for that.
Yeah.
Hey,
Let's go.
Sign up now. Yeah.
Yeah, so businesses, go ahead and sign up now for that workshop and pitch
Yeah,
competition.
come on down. It's really a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Snow could be coming, everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
And here's how we can work together to prepare.
Yep. Forecast shows, this weekend, maybe into Monday. So be ready. Our public works crews certainly are. So this year, track snowplows live, as well as check our real-time road conditions, all that and more at kirklandwater.gov/snow. Also, of course, just track weather updates on the National Weather Service, follow safe shoveling practices.
Yes.
I know, we don't talk enough
About
about
safe shoveling.
protecting your back
Yeah.
and other,
Well, that's
other
true.
parts of your body. So
Yeah.
push, don't lift. And of course, knowing who to call in an emergency situation, including your water servicer in case any burst pipes.
And you probably didn't know this,
yeah.
Aaron, but a couple of years ago at our City Hall for All extravaganza, we handed out like a crazy amount of shovels. For
Like
free.
400 snow shovels.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Just to help people shovel, shovel their
You
sidewalks.
got to bring your kids down to that and touch a truck. All the fire trucks come out.
Oh,
That's
a lot of
pretty
fun.
sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
cool. Okay, the next meeting of the Kirkland City Council is on Tuesday, February 4th. Here's what's on the agenda. On the business agenda, the council will receive a briefing on 84th Avenue Northeast safety improvements. This is a review for potential options and provide direction to staff on next steps.
Yeah, council also received an update on the Seattle Kraken Iceplex proposal and an update on the 2025 legislative agenda.
Prior to the business agenda during the study session, they'll talk about the 2024-2026 planning work program that guides the priorities of our planning and building department. And they'll also discuss the sustainability strategic plan and an update on that progress.
We're working with the Kraken.
That's sweet, man.
Mm-hmm.
Build a nice
Big
plex.
time.
Yeah. They want to build a nice plex. And one of the provisions of the deal that we're really focusing on is that when the NHL visiting teams come to town, guess where they have to practice?
Really?
Kirkland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that going to fly? We're going to get that happen?
I think it's possible.
Okay.
We're in negotiations.
There. We're in the,
And you know I'm going to
possibility
move
realm.
the podcast right into that building.
Oh, you have to. Yeah. No, I mean, it'll be 2 locker rooms and a podcast. Yeah.
I got to put it in the development
Yeah,
agreement.
yeah,
There's no
100%.
question
Yeah.
about that.
Council meetings are streamed live on the city's YouTube channel, Facebook page, and website.
Hey, everybody, and here's how a creative partnership is combining sustainability and community empowerment.
Yeah, this is a really cool story. So the cities of Kirkland and Auburn have partnered with Refugee Artisan Initiative. And what they're doing is they're upcycling like old banners that don't have any other purpose to them. And
wow.
they're upcycling them into recyclable bags. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
they'll be passing these out to multifamily residents. So you can store them easily in your sink or under your sink or in the laundry room or, wherever you want to contain your recyclables. So it's a
Cool.
way to both support recycling efforts as well as support this amazing fair wage employment and skill training
Wow,
program.
that's great.
Yeah,
Wow, very
Yeah,
cool.
So let's do that. Information in the show notes.
that's right.
Hey, could your pet care game use a little boost
I mean, always,
Yeah,
really.
always, right?
Haku's always like,
for the pets?
come on,
people.
Dad. What are we doing?
Yeah, what are we doing?
It's cold. Can you
Up
just
your
fix
game.
that? I know. Well,
Up your game.
Kirkland's Animal Control Officer, Angela Arnold, offers a texting feature
Oh.
to pet owners.
Mm-hmm.
So we're subscribed to this. It's really handy. I mean, it's about every week or so. She just sends out a blast text of like something to think about in the moment. Like, hey, it's cold out. One thing is like salt on their paws.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
something that I don't
Mhm.
think about enough. And so, yeah, we should be wiping our paws down more than we are. But anyway, you can join the community by texting PETS to 425-490-8326.
Yeah, that's good. Take advantage of
Nice.
that. Take
Yeah.
care of our pets.
Yep.
Do you want to make a real impact on Kirkland streets? I mean, who doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
I wake up every morning seeing how can I do more.
Well, here's how you can step up. But I just have to say, as a quick aside, coming from the East Coast, we don't have potholes like Boston, man.
Oof.
Oh, no. I mean, salt. We just talked about salt.
Salt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
No,
Yeah.
nothing like that.
Nothing
Yeah.
like that.
Craters.
Craters. And they just sit there, just
for you.
waiting.
Like,
Here.
like 3 Olympic cycles.
Oh,
Yes.
Here, the roads, it's all relative.
Yeah, it's true.
There's a lesson in
There
it.
you
It's
go.
all
There you
right.
go.
There you go.
There you go.
But if you would like to help and step up, how do we do that, Kate?
Yeah, well, the city is hiring a transportation engineer focused on safety and community improvement. So you'll work on projects mostly around school speed zones, analyzing the automated safety camera program, and enhancing traffic data.
Okay. Well, if
that's
that's
good.
your jam, come on down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
Hey, big improvements are coming, everybody, to Central Way and Market Street.
Yeah, so starting February 3rd, city's contractor will enhance medians with decorative stamped concrete. Ooh, I don't know exactly what that means, but I
Decorative
love
stamped
Yeah.
concrete.
Like, what is
I'm
that?
In.
I
I'm
know,
in.
right? I don't say that phrase enough in my life. Better aesthetics and reduced maintenance coming our way. So additional pedestrian safety improvements will also begin the week after. We're getting a new Center Island median on Market Street by the marina. Also extending some other features of the medians and bike lanes and so forth. So all that and more in the show notes.
Yeah, great stuff. Thank you, David. A couple of upcoming events for you to check out, Kate.
Well, you can get income tax assistance. These are going to be Fridays through April 11th at the Peter Kirk Community Center. Just make an appointment ahead of time to meet with those tax aid and volunteers. And then there's also a Galentine's Day
Galentine.
soiree. Yes.
The Galentine.
Yeah. It's going to be really fun. There's going to be like a bake-off, and you can shop from local businesses. It's going to be a good time over there at the North Kirkland Community Center
don't
on
miss
February
that.
8th.
Yeah,
Yep.
February 8th. And a reminder, everybody, that as always, we have links and more information in the show notes, which is a wonderful reference.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jim, before we get to our special guest, we did want to give a shout out to Emily
Emily,
in Totem
yes.
Lake.
Mm-hmm.
So glad to hear you're enjoying the show, and it makes you feel more connected and safer in our community. That's what we like to hear. Thanks for your great suggestions. You gave us a lot to think about. Love them. And we're working on all sorts of ways to not only profile healthcare workers and public safety, like you mentioned, and a lot of the other items that you put in. So
Let's have a healthcare worker on.
Yeah, and
Yeah, right?
So folks can text into the show with that feature, and we're just really excited to hear from some of our listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she did have a couple of specific questions, right, Kate?
Yeah, she did. So, in reference to where riders might gather in our community, great question. I actually saw in the events guide this week that the Book Tree has a riders group
Book
this
Tree.
Saturday, February 1st. So, check that out.
out.
Yeah.
So Book Tree's right there on Market Street. Really great little shop.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, if you have questions, suggestions, or feedback, text the show.
Yeah, we want to hear
yeah.
from you.
We'd love to hear from
Mm-hmm.
you. And that brings us to our 5 over 5, everyone. That's 5 questions in what is metaphysically certain to be over 5 minutes. I mean, especially today.
Yes.
Yes. Today's not the day
Yeah.
we're coming in under 5 minutes.
Right.
With our very special guest, Aaron Goldsmith, Seattle Mariners sportscaster.
Hey, guys.
Welcome. Again.
Hey.
Yeah.
For the second time.
Yeah. You've been here the whole time.
I have so much to say about all your civic announcements.
That's our format, man.
But
It's
been,
good that you lead with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're so appreciative that you're here. We introduced you twice.
Hey, I'm thrilled to be here as well.
But it's been nice. Aaron has been giving me little glances like, ooh,
Ooh.
like
Yeah,
to the
no,
snowplow tracker. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've been nudged to do that.
Yes,
yeah.
and of the many through lines to this show, Aaron is a resident of our amazing city.
For a long time.
For a long time.
Absolutely.
How long?
I mean, we've lived in some area of Kirkland or another since we've been with the Mariners.
Wow.
We came out here in 2013, so I am going into my 13th season with the Mariners.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, when we moved out here, we had a townhouse in Juanita for a couple of years,
Nice.
and then we
Nice.
moved into the Rose Hill area in the summer of 2015, and we've
Wow.
been there ever since.
Nice.
This is a major, major performance measure for our city. Only city. That means you chose Kirkland,
100%.
and then you stayed here.
Yeah, and we've been recruited heavily, yeah, and we continue to stay.
Yeah, well, I'm going to match any offer. I
Okay.
just want you to know that. Let me
Exactly.
put that out there. So you came in 2013. How did you come here?
So I did 6 years in the minors as a broadcaster.
Wow.
Which was
Learning your trade.
trying to, for sure. Kind of a trial by fire thing, and that's not uncommon, right? That's how so many people in this business, you kind of start from the bottom and you climb your way up, and that's what I did. I got my first broadcasting job with an independent league baseball team in Sauget, Illinois.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, good old
gracious.
Sauget.
Yeah. It's booming. It's much like Kirkland, and
Beautiful lake.
yes, it's right across the river from downtown St. Louis, which is where
nice.
I'm from St.
Ah.
Louis, and so I
nice.
lived at home, and I had a retail job, and I called 2 innings of home games only, and they paid me truly like $86 a month.
I love
and
these
I was
stories.
just ecstatic when they told me that they were going to pay me $86 a month.
You're
I
like,
was like, what?
what?
And they were like, I know, we can't do anymore. I'm like, no, that's amazing. You're paying me for this?
Love these
You
stories.
really shouldn't pay me. I have no idea what I'm doing.
I was happy with the concessions.
Did you always want?
Yes, exactly.
Did you always want to be a sportscaster?
No, that's the thing. I have a very unromantic story of how I got into this. Most people, if you were to interview them who are broadcasters, they've wanted to do this since they were like 8, and they sat on the couch and they turned the TV down and all that stuff, right? I had all these other ideas of what I wanted to do with my life, and I kind of always had something, and then I would look into it and explore it and then move on to the next thing. But I always had an idea from the time I was very little. And then, like, my perfect timing, my senior year in college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Like, I looked into everything.
Clean slate, man.
I'm like, well, okay, fourth quarter, man. Kind of running out of time here. And I was a history major in college.
Ooh,
and
wow.
I woke up one morning, and like I can remember it like it was yesterday, just clear as day. It's like, you should become a sports broadcaster.
Wow.
And I really thought I wanted to be a talk show host.
Oh.
Because I listened to sports radio all the time as a high schooler and a
Mm-hmm.
college student, either
Yeah.
in St. Louis or in that area. And so I graduated with a history degree, and then I went to a trade school in St. Louis called the Broadcast Center, which
wow.
was
Wow, good for you.
yeah, I mean, not really, but thank you. That's very nice of you. It was basically a school for people who wanted to be DJs.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And I didn't want to be a DJ, but I didn't even know how to hold a microphone.
Yeah.
So anything that they would teach me would be more than I knew.
Yeah.
And so I went there, and I got a retail job, and I kind of worked part of the day and went to school the other part of the day, and it was a lot of kind of like radio production stuff, and you learned how to write the news for radio and read the news, and you did DJ things, but none of it was sports related.
Well,
like
interesting.
0% of it.
Interesting.
But I needed to learn all these other things, and over the course of my time there, an advisor kept really bugging me and was like, "Hey man, there's this internship for this indie baseball team, the Grizzlies, and you should make a demo and apply for it." And no way, man. Like I'm not into that. I have no interest in play-by-play. And he kept wearing me down, and simultaneously, like reality started to hit me, thinking, you know, if I had to move from St. Louis to like Grand Rapids, Michigan, to be a sports talk show host, like I don't know anything about the Lions really, or the Red Wings really, or the Pistons, or Michigan or Michigan State. Like I know surface level stuff, but I can't host a talk show out there about that. Maybe I should try this. And so the Grizzlies wanted 5 minutes of uninterrupted play-by-play as the demo.
The demo, yeah.
And I'd never done any play-by-play.
Oh my gosh.
And so the broadcast center gave me a tape deck and a microphone, and they said, just go get them. Like,
did you study somebody?
They're like, go. No, are you kidding me? I wasn't gonna do that. I didn't even want this job. Study somebody? Like I don't even know how to do that or where I would do that. Like I'll go watch a game.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? I don't know. I still couldn't tell you. And so they're like, go find a game and call it in person.
Wow.
And so the school that I graduated from, the college, was only an hour away from St. Louis, a little D3 school. So I drove back there, and on the weekends they would have men's and women's basketball doubleheaders.
Oh wow.
So I sat up in the film nest, like where they film the games for the coaches, and the coaches got some bad play-by-play in the background. Like, you might want to mute that one on your film session. And so I still knew, it was such a small school that I knew basically every student who played.
Yeah.
But I didn't know any of the opposing players.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
right.
there was no chance I was going to prep for even a minute for these games.
No.
And so I just made up the names for everybody on the
That's
other team.
really smart.
Because it's
gonna
like,
know?
I was just, my recall was just, I was banging, man.
It's really smart.
And so my now wife, I was dating her at the time, her maiden name was Harmon. So like the best player for the other team was always Harmon. Like Harmon was just throwing it down, you know, from deep. 32 for Harmon.
Honey, Harmon dominated again.
Exactly. And so I did 2 weekends of this, so 4 games in total. And it was hours of just press record, broadcast for 20 seconds, make a mistake, stop. Wait for a dead ball, press record, 10 seconds, make a mistake, stop.
Oh my god.
Wow.
And it was so hard to get 5 minutes. And so I
Wow.
found the best of horrible stretches of 5 minutes. And I applied for this job.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced to this day that nobody else applied because I got it. And they offered me $86 a month. And that's what set me off on play-by-play.
But honestly, you got to give me the real answer here, because you have an amazing voice. Honestly,
Yes.
you have an amazing voice. So no one said you got to be in radio or whatever.
Well, it's very kind of you. First of all, I was thinking when I heard your minutes of public service announcements, you guys sound great.
Oh, thank you.
And you know what's really
Thank
nice
you.
is that you all sound different,
Yeah.
Right.
which is not to be overlooked. Like you all have very distinct but different voices,
Yeah.
which makes, obviously you're being amplified perfectly by
Anthony.
Yeah.
the
No,
Yankee fan.
this is just going out to the ether and we're
like creedthoughts.com.
nothing post added to it at all.
Okay. No, so like first of all, having a great voice is like being tall. Like there's nothing I did for it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to take advantage of
That's
it. Right. And
Why not, though?
So so my mom, from the time I was in high school, told me I should be a broadcaster. And like
there you
every
go.
good son, I completely ignored it. For years actually.
She got her way finally.
She did.
It's okay.
How bad is the I told you so?
Yes.
Yeah.
Moms usually know best.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. No, my voice has always been fairly deep.
Yeah.
But my voice, fortunately, has changed quite a bit. Like, it's strange. Even if you go back and listen, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, which I choose not to do, 20 years ago, your voice just changes.
Yeah,
Like, we don't.
interesting.
Most people don't know that because they don't have recordings of them.
Yeah.
Every year, every day. But it is true, and it's like a muscle. It just kind of grows and gets better.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
I'm grateful that that's happened.
All right, so you get your big break, right?
With the Grizzlies.
With the Grizzlies. Yeah.
So now
I've made it,
are you
baby.
bit by the bug? Are you like
No, I didn't really like it at first. It was really hard. Like, it's people, you can't, I think you can imagine just how time consuming it is.
Yeah.
And you basically give up your life for it
Yeah.
because you're working every night when all your friends are doing something fun on a Friday or a Saturday or on July 4th or any holiday. Like, you're working, and you're working day after day after day after day after day. And when you get a day off, then you're on a bus and you're driving to the next place so you can work again.
That's got to be brutal.
Yeah, and so when I first started it, even though I wasn't traveling for the Grizzlies, I mean, they're only paying me $86. I never worked that many days in a row.
Wow.
And it's St. Louis, and it's 100 degrees, and it's humid, and it's an open air booth,
Yeah.
and you're just sweating all night,
Yeah.
and it's like you're working a retail job during the day, and you're doing this at night. And even though it was kind of thrilling, it was also just really exhausting.
Yeah.
But I also figured out pretty quickly, like, well, this is all I got.
Yeah.
I've gone to a school for this. I've put in a year of my time for this. Like, I got to figure out how to make this work.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful to say that every year that I've done this, from 2007
Wow.
with the Grizzlies to today, I've liked my job more every year.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Which is, I'm really grateful to be able to say that. Like, I hope that continues. That
Yeah.
seems like maybe an unsustainable
Yeah,
path.
yeah.
Like, maybe I just peak for a while, right?
Just go for incremental.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like, as I learn more about the job and like the craft of it and the nuances of it, like all of us, like it's exciting to learn those things, right?
Yeah.
And every year I feel like I kind of discover, typically through mistakes, right? Like, that's how we learn these things.
Sure.
Through mistakes, you learn these little things, and it's exciting, and it makes me want to go out and be better and do more and be a better broadcaster.
Yeah, that's a wonderful thing to aspire to. Like, every year improve and appreciate with gratitude.
I didn't say I do every year, but yes, you're hoping
You're
that's
hoping.
the case. Yeah.
So you put your Nate?
Oh, I'd have a question over here.
Yeah.
To build on what you were just talking about, how do you keep yourself going through the dog days of August? Baseball is famously a marathon, not a sprint. So when it's just been your third week of working every single day,
Sure.
how do you keep yourself motivated, engaged, and
Well, I think it's a great question, and one thing I've learned is to not pretend and try to fool yourself that you won't get tired and you won't get beat down. Like, you just it's just reality, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not afraid to say this because I love baseball. Obviously, it's basically my life outside of my family.
Yeah.
But every August, for probably 5 to 7 days, I hate baseball.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it happens every year.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I hate it.
Makes
Like,
perfect sense.
I don't want to prep for it anymore. I don't want to talk to people about it.
Yeah.
I'm just done.
Done.
And I take a 7 days vacation every August. And it works out pretty great.
Yeah.
Like, we get the All-Star break in July, and then I get a week-long break at some point in August that I can be home in Kirkland with
Yeah.
my family,
Boom,
go to the
Kirkland,
lake,
yeah.
peak weather.
Yeah.
And it's a total recharger, and that's how I've learned to deal with it. Now, that's not to say that I'm like 100% charged up for every other day of the season,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Like, just like anybody in any job, you're going to have better days than others. But I can kind of mark these things on my calendar, and I know where they are. In fact,
Nice.
one of my best friends is also one of our broadcasters, Gary Hill. And when we get to like the end of July, he starts checking in with me.
Oh, is that
and
right?
He's like, "Hey, how's
it going?
You hating things yet? Are you okay? How you doing?" And I'll be like, "No, actually, I'm feeling great.
good.
I'm feeling really
Real
good.
good.
Like, let's talk next Monday."
Next Monday.
But it does. It happens to every player, every coach, every manager, every broadcaster. If it doesn't, like, you're not a real person.
Yeah, you got to clean the palate, right? You got to clean the palate.
You do.
Yeah.
Because hopefully everybody's got something outside of baseball.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a spouse, you've got kids, you've got interests, you've got hobbies. You want to be at home, you want to be in your own bed. And like, those are normal things.
Normal things.
Those are normal things. And what I have is an absolute dream job.
Yeah.
And I honestly can't imagine doing anything else. And I will forever be grateful that the Mariners hired me.
Yeah.
And I hope that I'm here forever. but everybody will admit
Yeah.
it's a grind, man.
Totally agree.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and you
Completely
got to
agree.
find ways to get yourself through it.
By the way, that's Nate Gettleman. His mom may have the world's largest collection.
Nate, how many are we talking? Do you have any?
Of
Do you have a rough
bobbleheads.
number?
50 or 60 at least.
Okay.
A Mariners bobblehead.
Mariners.
Yeah, Mariners.
Oh,
Now, is she one that
wow.
will she like if we have a like a 7 o'clock bobblehead night? Is she there at like 2?
2 is
In
a
line.
bit early, but if I'm
2:30.
driving her in at 4, I'll drop her off at the front door so I can go park and she can get
You
in
guys
line.
have a system.
She's anxious. For a 7 o'clock start, if I'm dropping her off at 4, she's anxious that she's not going to
Do you stop the car? Or you just go to like a slow roll? And she just
Two tucks and rolls.
Just barrel rolls out of there.
I have to say, Aaron, I've kind of bonded with Nate on this because my mom, like, we're like radical Red Sox fans. She watches every game with my aunt, and they just text me every game about everything that's going on. It's just an endearing thing.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the best thing about
wonderful.
baseball, right?
Yeah.
It's every
Yeah.
night.
Every
it's every
night.
night for half the year. And I feel like for my job, we as baseball broadcasters potentially, theoretically, hopefully get to form the best relationship
Absolutely.
of any broadcaster with any fan base in any sport
Absolutely.
just because of the inventory.
It's a
right?
pastime.
Yes. And you become part of people's routines. I'll never forget this. The first time I shouldn't say one of the first times I was ever at T-Mobile Park was for Fan Fest, when the Mariners used to hold Fan Fest in the wintertime, kind of around this time. And I'd just been hired, and I flew out here from where we were living out east, where I was calling baseball in Rhode Island. And I was part of the 2 days of interviewing players in the dugouts and that kind of stuff. And it was my time to kind of get to meet some of these guys.
Wow.
And they were moving Rick Riz and myself from the dugout up to the concourse because we had another event up there. And as we were walking up that way, a mother with her 2 young children saw Rick and came like quickly walking up to Rick and said, Rick, oh my gosh, it is such an honor to see you
Oh, that's
and meet
nice.
you. I have to tell you, you are part of our bedtime routine
Oh
every
my
night.
goodness. Oh my goodness.
And like I still get a little emotional
Oh,
as
yeah.
somebody who like has a bedtime routine with their 3 children,
Yeah.
right? Like thinking that every night that mom and dad and children heard Mariners baseball, heard Rick's voice, right, as they were doing the bathtub and
Yeah.
brushing the teeth and getting the PJs and getting ready to read the stories and all that stuff. That's when it really hit me for the first time how big in a really fun way this job is.
Yeah.
Because when you're calling games for the Gateway Grizzlies, like ain't nobody part of your bedtime routine, man. Like nobody's listening, right? And that we all know that. And when I heard that mom say that to Rick, it was really a light bulb of this is a big responsibility.
It is.
Like you are a part of people's lives.
I love how that you characterize it that way because we call it like a parasocial relationship, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yes,
you become
yeah.
part of, in some ways, everyone's family. And I remember growing up as a kid, like going to the beach and everybody has the Red Sox on.
Sure.
You know, the radios are all blasting and people are just chilling out and taking it all in. So bravo.
It's a
That's
special
nice.
thing.
Special thing. Now, you said you worked in Rhode Island.
Yes, I did.
Now, take us through how you came to the Mariners because I think that might have a little something to do with the Red Sox franchise.
Oh.
This is
Is that a leading question, Jim?
Any chance he gets.
Yeah.
Do we have the
Oh, we got to talk
Chamber
about
of
the
Commerce
Yankees.
on the line?
We got to talk about the Yankees.
Yeah.
It would be better use of our time. But
So I was with 5 teams in 6 years
Oof.
in the minors, which is like I wasn't fired, but like you're hoping you
It's
move
just
up,
the
right?
grind.
The grind,
Yeah.
yes. So I did
Yeah.
the hard part. A lot of it was hard, but I was with 3 teams in the first 3 years. So I
Yeah.
was in indie ball in Illinois. I did a summer in the Cape League in Cape Cod.
Yeah, that's great.
Which
Good
was,
baseball.
unpaid. And then I caught a little bit of a break. I was the broadcast intern for the Red Sox AA team in Portland, Maine.
Oh, those
By the way,
Sea Dogs?
yeah, nicely
Sea Dogs,
done. Yeah.
Oh.
Portland, Maine, and Seattle, like kind of similar in the summer.
Yeah, yes.
Ah,
very, very
yeah.
beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah, both
Okay.
like Portland was the best summer I'd ever had until I moved to Seattle.
Oh, interesting.
And then after that, I was trying desperately to get a full-time job. Heather and I had been dating for over 3 years. We wanted to get married. And after every season, I would move back to St. Louis and just find odd jobs to keep me going until
Wow.
I could get another broadcasting job. And every year I'd hope it was
Wow.
full-time, and it never was. and so
But you persevered.
and so after
Yeah.
after the Sea Dogs season in 2009 in Maine, I came back to St. Louis and I was an assistant JV basketball coach which I like the combination of assistant and JV. It takes a lot of pressure off you. It's like, well, I'm not in charge, and they're not even that good. So
I'm the fun one.
I mean, just roll the balls on the court.
It's fine.
It's gonna be okay. Low expectations. And I was a professional dog walker. I found a dog walking job on Craigslist.
Nice.
And so I don't remember exactly what I got paid, but it was actually like pretty decent. I mean, I love dogs. I mean, you better, right?
People love their pets,
yes,
man.
and it's just on a nice fall day in St. Louis, you go walk like 8 dogs, one at a time. So they're all in the same rough area of town.
You get 'em,
It was a great job.
nice.
And then winter struck. And it was like, I got to get out of this, man. This is the worst job ever. But so I told Heather, I said, hey, if I don't get a full-time job after this off season of coaching basketball and walking dogs, I will stop broadcasting.
Oh, wow.
Because that was that was the broadcasting gods telling me it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Man. Like, you've put in 3 years of this, and if you can't get a full-time job after 3 years, you're probably not made for this, right? And I said I'll get a full-time job, and I was going to go sell appliances because that's what I did when I was in broadcasting school. My name tag said Appliance Aaron, which got
Works.
me no additional business. Funny enough,
But it had alliteration.
yes, exactly, and no one cares for that, as it turns out. And I got one job offer, and it was for the Rangers AA team in Dallas.
Okay,
and it was a full-time job. So I hung up the leash and I turned in the whistle and I
Off to Texas.
Yeah, and I proposed to Heather and then moved off to Texas and was there for 2 years, and then was very grateful to get another full-time job in Rhode Island with the Red Sox AAA team.
Yeah.
And my wife's from Boston.
The Paw Sox.
The Paw Sox, which are now the Woo Sox.
The Woo Sox,
they moved
yeah.
out of Pawtucket.
They tore down that stadium just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it's
McCoy.
looking pretty rough. It's sad. I was very grateful to be able to call a summer there. So we moved out to Massachusetts, and I worked in Rhode Island, and it was great. Like, my wife is from that area, so we were very close to her family, and we really felt like we had kind of hit it. Like,
Yeah,
hit
of
it
course.
big.
That's big time.
This is cool, man. And after one season there, in the fall of following my first year, the Mariners job opened up.
Yeah, this is a great story.
And I really, I had no shot. And I knew that, and that's great. Like, you should be
You still
realistic.
gotta take a shot.
Yeah,
and go for it.
As you can
for
tell
it.
by my journey, I'm very confident.
You got to go for it, man.
And so, but in reality, you feel like you're one step away because you're in AAA. You're not, but you feel that way.
Yeah.
And so I made a CD, and I put it in the mail, and I mailed it from Massachusetts all the way out to T-Mobile Park, and I really had no expectations, but I felt like I should.
But Aaron, isn't it true that this was a huge opportunity? I mean,
it's so rare, as you can imagine, that a big league play-by-play job opens up.
Yeah.
I mean, we are Supreme Court justices.
yes,
It's just once we get it,
Big deal.
We don't give it up.
Yeah.
because
that's right.
it's hard to find a better gig in the
Yeah.
industry, right?
Yeah.
And if you love baseball, this is it.
Yeah.
And so when this job opened up, I knew I wanted to apply, and I sent my CD in and basically forgot about it. Like, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I had to sleep well at night knowing that I tried.
Sure.
And I received an email from the Mariners weeks later, and although they didn't say it this way, my interpretation of the body of the email was, "Dear applicant, we have received all the applications for our radio play-by-play position, and we have divided them into 2 piles. A group of broadcasters that we think stink, and a group that we think do not stink. And we'd like to congratulate you. You have made the pile that we don't think stinks." And it was like, let's go! What's up? I mean,
You're running around the house.
It was honestly, without question, the greatest validation I've ever had in my career.
You don't
I don't
stink.
stink. It was like, hey, you're not the worst we heard.
Yeah.
There's a life
I'll take
lesson
that.
in there, everybody.
And
There's a
so,
life lesson.
I just screamed at Heather, like, "Come downstairs! Look at this!
I don't stink.
Yeah. And so I'm like, we went to Applebee's that night, and we got 2 for $20.
Hey, okay.
And we might have even gotten 2 for $20 for all I know.
I mean,
yeah,
hey.
just to get the extra guac.
Yes.
And it was so exciting, and it was like I got the job.
Wow.
Honestly. And then you kind of come back down to earth, and now you start to wonder, like,
maybe I'm good at this.
I'm not going to get this job, but it'd be kind of cool if I got another email that said I didn't stink. And And so then I received another email saying, we'd like to talk to you on the phone. And at that point, it started to get a little real, right?
Yeah.
Like I've never talked to anybody on the phone like this before who's with a Major League Baseball team. Like, this is crazy. And it just so happens that Seattle had gotten one of our kind of like freak snowstorms the night before my phone interview.
Oh wow.
What year is this?
This would have been like end of 2012,
Okay.
beginning of 2013.
Sure.
Probably end of 2012.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
And
Yeah,
so, you know how it is. Like, it snowed 1/8 of an inch, so everything shut down.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's right.
And so
People
this,
just
yes,
go
this is
bananas.
before Teams. This is before Zoom,
Yeah.
obviously. So what it was the maybe 4 or 5 people who were going to be on this phone interview were all at home, and we were all on this one mega shared phone line.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
Okay.
and
well, this is fascinating.
and so you can all imagine what it's like when you're in a group interview setting where 5 to 6 to 7 people are all talking at some point. Nobody wants to talk over somebody else.
Oh my goodness.
Right? And so somebody would ask me a question and I would answer it. And then there would be what felt like 9 minutes of silence after my response. And I'd be like, well, that didn't go over well. And then they'd ask another question. And then it was another like 15 minutes of silence. I was like, I am bombing this thing
Oh my
to
god.
no end.
Oh man.
So the
I
interview
forgot to
ends-
say over.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Did anybody call you out like, well, Aaron, I just disagree with that?
Did I call them the Marlins? What? Oh my gosh, this is awful. And so the interview ended, and I'm in my own head. I'm like, that was awful. I just cost myself the job right there.
Oh man.
And so I get another email, and they say, we enjoyed talking to you on the phone. What? We'd like you to come out to Seattle for an in-person interview. And at that point, now it's really real.
It's real
and
now.
I'm terrified.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really
Jeez.
scared.
Yeah.
I had, like, all jokes aside, I had very little confidence in myself as a broadcaster. I had only been a lead broadcaster for 3 years, 2 years in Dallas and 1 year in Rhode Island. Like, there was a lot that I knew I didn't know, and there was even more that I didn't know that I knew that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yep.
I didn't have a lot of reps in the grand scheme of things, and I thought that I'd be probably exposed pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I was actually pretty surprised that I hadn't been.
Yeah.
And so I flew out, and it was just one of these crystal clear winter days. And I land, and I lived in Kansas City and in St. Louis in basically my whole life. And so we land at SeaTac, and I walk off the plane, and I look out the windows to see the mountains.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember
Yeah.
I
Breathtaking.
just pressed my nose up against the glass, and I was like, I've never seen anything like this before.
Wow, yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen lakes like out
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
I'd never seen evergreens like
The
out
trees,
here. The
man.
whole
Oh.
thing, right? It was like I'm on a different planet. And so I went through the interview process and didn't have a really good feel for how it went. And I remember going back home and saying to Heather, like, this was amazing that I got this experience. And when my next interview happens years from now, I'm gonna be ready for it.
Yeah.
Because I've gone through this, and I'm going to take away a lot of great lessons. And then I started to hear through like the broadcast grapevine that other people who had applied had big league experience, or that they were interviewing, I should say, that other finalists had big league experience. And at that point, I'm like, well, like, I'm out. Like, there's no chance. And when I found out that I got the job, I'll never forget it. There was one time in my life that I wish I would have recorded something.
Yeah.
Was when I called my mom and told her that I got the job. She just like bawled.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Bawled crying. So Randy Adamak, who's now retired for the Mariners, he was one of the first employees. The press box is named after Randy. He's the man who technically hired me. It was a group decision, obviously, but Randy was kind of the tip of the spear on the whole thing. And I probably tell Randy once a year, we still see each other. He comes to the ballpark. He changed my life. Like, he changed my life. He changed the life for me, my wife, my children. We had no kids until we moved out here. If not for the Mariners, I could easily still be broadcasting minor league baseball. And people might hear that and say, "Oh no, you would have gotten a job." No, you don't know that. There are
True.
It takes
So true.
Everybody needs one person to fall in love with you to hire you,
Yeah.
right? And if that one person doesn't happen, you don't get hired.
Yeah.
So it was incredible.
Wow.
Incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
And taking a moment to reflect on that person, if you are so fortunate to have that person in your life, is well worth it, because it is so true. If you are fortunate enough to find that person who gives you the break or you get to work for
Yes.
in your career, grab onto it.
Mm-hmm.
It is definitely a career path decision. I've had that in my experience working with our city manager, Kurt Triplett.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we went to graduate school together.
Yeah, you met him in Boston.
Yeah, back east. So, your coming to the Mariners may have had a little extra pressure. You were coming in to fill a spot from an absolute Hall of Fame legend, Dave Niehaus.
Yeah, Dave was one of a kind.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't need to tell anybody that. And I remember listening to Dave and Rick when I was in the minors because you could, for like $20, you can buy this MLB audio pass. And I would listen to
that's
games
great.
as I would prep for my game. And I'd listen to kind of archive games. So I remember listening to Dave and Rick even when I was in the minors. And it was never pressure for me to fill Dave's spot because Rick was there.
Right.
Oh,
that's great.
And I totally understand the outside perspective of, oh my gosh, you're coming in, you're whatever I was 20, 29.
Wow.
Like now you have to take over for this all-time
Yeah.
underscored, bold, italicized legend in Dave Niehaus. And thanks to Rick, I never felt that.
Oh, that's great.
Rick slid to the lead chair, and I was just kind of his sidekick who's trying to learn on the job and get better.
Yeah.
And Dave was such a big deal that the Mariners waited 2 years. I don't know if people remember this. They waited 2 years to fill his absence after he passed.
Wow.
And kind of serendipitously, if they had hired right away, if Dave wasn't this omnipresence that he was, and they'd hired right away like anyone else would have done, no chance I'm here in Seattle.
You might not have got the
No,
job.
because I was going into my second year as the lead guy in Dallas.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. And then they waited another year, which gave me a chance to get to AAA.
Yeah.
And then after that, then they said, okay, we're going to open this. It's been 2 years. I think we're ready.
Fascinating.
Let's hire somebody. And then I mail my CD. So if they had hired after the first or second year,
Yeah.
like, I'm not here.
It was meant to be, Aaron.
I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's wild.
So that is an amazing story. And you come out, and of course you fall in love with Kirkland.
Just like Heather. Yeah. It's a very romantic relationship. Yeah. So it's funny when we came out here, we looked we had like 2 days to find a place to live, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
And everybody's telling you every neighborhood to move to in the greater Seattle area, which was so easy to go shopping for a house. It's great. We lived in Juanita, like I said, and then came to the Rose Hill area, and now we have 3 kids, 10, 8, and 5.
Yeah.
And it really, Kirkland has become our real home. Like we have real roots here, deeply settled, deeply established, and we love it. I mean, like everybody else who lives here, we can't imagine living anyplace else.
Well, that's just wonderful to hear.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember probably last summer before that, I love paddleboarding.
Oh, nice.
And my rule is that if it's at least 70 degrees, I'll try to paddleboard.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's a
good
because
rule.
otherwise, like with the amount that I travel in the summer,
Forget
you're
it.
gonna all of a sudden you have like 6 days of paddleboard, right?
Yeah.
And I came home one day and I said to Heather, it was this gorgeous peak summer day, probably way hotter than 70, and I said, if I was a broadcaster for another team, and I had an off day, and I somehow made my way to Kirkland in the summer, and got to the lake and went downtown and did all the great summer things that you can do in Kirkland. I said, I would call you up from my hotel and I'd say, honey, we're moving here. I mean, it's just
Totally agree, by the way.
It's the best summer town I can even imagine.
People don't realize how great the weather is here in the summer.
I don't know how that's possible. Once you've been here for a day in the summer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's everything. Just the other day, we were walking over at by QFC and Shake Shack, and the splash pad is shut down right now. But just walking past it, like I'm just seeing my kids running through those splash pads in the summer, and just how much fun they have. Right? It's just the summer activities in Kirkland are not just us, probably every family, like our favorite part of living here, and it makes the winters so worthwhile.
So worthwhile.
Yeah.
You're going to make it to the summer.
Yeah.
We think about the lake in the summer on a very regular basis.
And of course, one of our absolute jewels of our city is our parks and our parks department. So we thought it was super cool that you are actually a Kirkland volunteer, and
That's
you
right.
are coaching up the kids.
Yeah.
And it's, sign up to be a volunteer season, right?
Yeah, for Pee Wee soccer.
Pee Wee soccer. So tell us a little bit about your experience with our city.
Well, it makes me very sad that I don't get to be very involved or even be a spectator during the Little League season.
Yeah.
Right. So
Fair.
my oldest son plays Kirkland American Little League, and my wife and our other kids are at the Everest Fields like 8 days a week.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
And fortunately, if we have a day off and he has a game, I can go. Or if he has a day game on a Saturday, I can go. But it always makes me sad, but there's just no way around it.
Yeah.
That I can't be more involved with that. So I try to get super involved in the winter.
Yeah.
And I love basketball. I was the JV assistant basketball coach. I
Yeah,
don't know if I
yeah.
mentioned that on this program before. So I think I know a thing or two.
Yeah, right.
I think so.
Yeah. And so last year, I used to call a lot of basketball games, college basketball games, which kept me traveling and gone quite a bit in the winter as well. And my love for that kind of began to peter as our kids got older, and as my older son started playing basketball that resembled basketball. I would go to his games when I could, and it just became so obvious. Like I miss this. I want to be a part of this, and it is ruining my love for my other job, calling college basketball.
Yeah.
So I took a real big step back from that, and last year was my first year coaching him through Kirkland Parks and Rec. And he's on the Legends, go Legends.
The Legends.
The Legends,
Legends.
yeah.
Very
Yes,
nice.
pretty intense.
They're making a run. They're making a run
yeah,
for
yeah.
it.
Watch out.
And so I'm coaching him, and then my daughter, this is actually really cool. My daughter, who is now 8 and in 2nd grade, last winter, like everyone else, she saw all the Caitlin Clark.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
And she wanted to play basketball because of Caitlin Clark.
Awesome.
Nice.
Which was so cool to like see that happen in your own life.
Yeah.
Like you hear
Yeah.
of that, right? Like, oh yeah, they saw Julio, so they want to play baseball. And then when you see it in your home, you're like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And so
Wow.
she was super bullish on it. She wanted to be a hooper. So we signed her up for 1st and 2nd grade Boys and Girls Club basketball at the Kirkland Boys and Girls Club. And so I'm coaching her team.
Oh, super
Yeah.
cool.
And so
Yeah.
our Saturdays are like, I'm coaching.
Let's go,
I'm
kids.
coaching her team, and then I'm getting in the car and I'm racing over to Kamaikan Middle School and coaching the Legends, and it's so much fun, man. And it's great to see all the parents, all the moms and dads, all the volunteers, and the kids who just. I mean, this is the NBA for
Yeah.
them.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
like this is the big
Totally
time.
agree, man.
Like my
Totally.
son will come downstairs at 7:00 on a Saturday morning in full uni.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And like
let's go.
so, and everybody else will too. Like,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
not alone
Yeah.
doing this.
No, it's a big deal.
It's so big.
Yeah.
And so to be a part of that from the practices and the coaching of the games and all that, and just to see kids who maybe we have a kid on our team who've never played a team sport before.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And he's in my son's class, and like in sharing circle every morning, when we have practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays, he raises his hand and he's like, I'm really excited for basketball practice tonight.
Oh,
And it's
so
just cool.
good.
It's cool to be a
Heartwarming.
part of that, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's been like life changing is a pretty big,
Yeah.
big phrase, but I can't imagine my life without
Yeah.
it.
Well, good for you, Aaron. I have to say, as a young dad, you don't get this time back.
Yeah,
you
you're
just
right.
don't get it
100%.
back.
Yeah, you're right.
And as a young dad who's incredibly talented, you're getting all these offers from ESPN and Fox, or you do college basketball, do college football, literally. And I'm going to coach my kids and I'm going to spend time with my family. It's just a wonderful thing.
Well, it's hard. Like that's very nice of you to say. It was, like in honesty, it took 2 years of me having to be honest with myself
Yeah.
and say like your world around you is changing.
Yeah.
Right. Your kids are getting older. They have more needs because of that. Your wife has more needs because more is being asked of her
Yeah.
as our Goldsmith family Uber service is increasing, right, from all the activities. And like I just had to be really honest with myself and say, like, where am I going to be that will make me the happiest? And I'm really grateful. I was at a point in my life where I could choose. I'm going to choose to be happy and be with my family because obviously not everyone can do that. And for the other 6 months of the year, I'm away a lot. And so
Yeah.
it was really important that I be home a lot more.
Yeah. You define
Nice.
your success, everybody. You define your success. You got to be reflective enough to know what makes you happy, even if the world is grabbing at you from other directions. So bravo.
Thanks, man.
And super helpful that our parks department plays a role in it.
yeah, even
There
better.
you go.
Even better. So now, Aaron, we like to have some fun with our guests. We like to play a little game. And we've crafted your game, which we have affectionately titled Make the Call.
Okay.
Make the Call with Aaron Goldsmith. Okay, so here's the call. A pitcher is overthinking his or her mechanics on the mound and can't find the strike zone.
Oh, boy. I've never seen that happen.
What's your broadcast call, and how does your analysis of the situation also apply to parenting and life.
Oh my God.
See what we did there?
Well,
This is
big
like the-
question.
Big question.
Bet you were wishing you were a philosophy major.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no kidding. Well, this is the most complicated situation I've ever seen in my career. We're trying to solve the Paragathium theorem out here on the mound instead of just throw it over the plate. For crying out loud.
Simplify.
Throw a strike. You see here? No, it is funny. Like the Mariners obviously have this incredible track record of developing pitching.
Yeah.
And it's been a real eye-opener talking to both pitchers and coaches about their pitching philosophies.
Yeah.
And you would think that it's this like crazy, intense, diabolical, complicated, just 30-step process.
A lot of math.
Yes, like this is how they do it, and it's this trade secret that they've cracked the code on.
Yeah.
Right? And in reality, what they've cracked the code on is just making things as simple as they possibly can.
Oh, I love that.
And the Mariners, one of the reasons why they pitch so well is they throw so many strikes.
Yeah.
And that sounds easy, but it's actually hard for a wide variety of reasons. But what they tell all their pitchers is throw it over the plate.
Yeah.
Just throw it over the plate. And the one math that they have done is that if you throw a pitch over the plate,
Yeah.
there is a 94% chance that something good will happen.
Holy cow.
94%. Yeah, it will either be swung on and missed.
Yeah.
It will be fouled back. All right, fouled
That's
up,
a
fouled
strike.
back. That's a strike, right? It will be put in play and become an out. Like there's a 94, or you'll land it for a strike and he'll take it.
Yeah.
Right? There's a 94% chance something good will happen and the ball will be back in your glove.
Wow.
And so what they've done is they've empowered their pitchers by giving them like actual data. I said there was no math. There's a little bit of
A little math.
They did the math and made
Yeah,
it simple
made
for
it
them.
simple.
And so what that's done is when pitchers are on the mound, they're not trying to overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
The Mariners have a really good relief pitcher named Gabe Spire. He's a lefty, and 2 years ago he had this massive breakout season. He really had a very poor major league career prior to coming to the Mariners. And the Mariners, and he deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah.
It completely resurrected his career. And I was asking him about it one day, and he said, with the Mariners, there are no don'ts. There are no don't throw it here. Don't throw this pitch.
Oh, this is fascinating.
He said there are only do's. Throw this. Throw in this location.
Oh, wow.
This pitch. It's all this very empowering language.
Forward thinking.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's not. You're not up there saying, I can't do this.
Right.
If I don't, if I do this, then he will hit it. Right. This negative line of thinking. It's all your best pitch is this. Throw that. There are only do's.
Right.
And so whether it be parenting or coaching, like I have tried to mimic that as best as I can, because when coaching kids, right, we're really trying to simplify things, both in theory and in practice. And the way we communicate, we're trying to be as clear and concise as possible. And I catch myself probably with more frequency than I would like, talking in a way or instructing in a way that is becoming too complicated.
Yeah.
And I always come back to that of how can we make this succinct and simple. And like when you think about it, like all the greatest things in life are simple.
Simple.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
And so the whole keep it simple stupid thing.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I thought that was like just made up. But it's actually perfect.
There is,
Yeah.
I think Albert Einstein said, as simple as possible, but no simpler. I mean, there's a lot to this. And
Sure.
I think we probably need to play this podcast for our management retreat. Because honestly, I think that
I have a fee for that actually.
Hey, there's your business idea.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
I would like a $5,000 to appear remotely for your management conference.
because I do think that advice pertains to management too.
I'm sure it does. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Aaron Goldsmith, you are so great. And
Hey, it's
so
been
much
great being
fun.
with you guys.
Yeah, we
This is
really
an awesome podcast that you guys are doing.
thank you so much. I mean, this means a lot to us, and we just love the fact that you're here having fun, and maybe you come back.
Hey,
Yeah.
for that appearance fee, I'd be happy to do anything. Yeah.
Think of us when the Mariners win the World Series.
You absolutely. You know what? You're my first call.
We're going to hold you to that.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much.
Yeah, next week we'll have David Links from the Kirkland Arts Center.
Oh, David,
Yeah,
yeah.
don't want to miss that. And also don't forget to sign up for the business workshops and pitch competition.
Yeah. And that does it, everybody, for this week. You've been listening to This Week in Kirkland. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Special thanks to Anthony Girardi, Angela Brown, and Nate Gettleman for his surprise appearance for their behind-the-scenes magic.
Has Nate been on the air before? Is this his first time? Once or twice? Oh, darn.
No.
That's too bad.
Our next episode is February 6th. Until then, stay
Stay
connected,
connected,
Kirkland.